The Tale of the Talking Animals. Welcome to the Tale of the Talking Animals. This is a story of how a group of animals discovered the power of communication and how it helped them overcome their daily struggles. This story will take you on a magical journey through the eyes of the animals, as they learn to connect with each other in ways they never thought possible. It was a bright and sunny day in the forest, and all the animals were going about their daily routines. The birds were singing, the bees were buzzing, and the squirrels were gathering nuts. But then, something miraculous happened. The animals suddenly found themselves able to talk. At first, they were scared and confused. They had never been able to communicate with each other before, and they didn't know what to do with this new gift. But as they started talking, they realized that it was a powerful tool that could help them overcome their daily struggles. The deer, who was always afraid of the wolves, found out that they were not so different after all. They both had families to feed and struggles to overcome. They started talking to each other and soon became friends. The rabbit, who was always shy and kept to himself, found out that he had a lot in common with the birds. They both loved to sing and fly, and they both had a deep appreciation for the beauty of the forest. They started talking to each other and soon became friends. The fox, who was always trying to outsmart everyone, found out that he had a lot to learn from the wise old owl. They both loved to hunt and gather, but the owl had a deep knowledge of the forest that the fox had never even considered. They started talking to each other and soon became friends. As the animals talked more and more, they discovered that communication was the key to friendship and understanding. They started helping each other out, sharing their struggles and their joys, and learning from each other's experiences. They found that they were all connected in some way, and that their differences were what made them unique and special. As the animals continued to talk and learn from each other, their bond grew stronger. They would often meet up in the clearing at sunset, sharing their stories and experiences. The birds would sing their sweet melodies, while the squirrels would offer up their nuts to share. One day, the animals heard a cry for help from a nearby pond. It was the fish, who had been caught in a fisherman's net. The animals knew they had to do something to save their friend. The wolf suggested using his sharp teeth to cut the net, but the fish warned him that he might get hurt. The rabbit suggested using his strong legs to push the net, but the fish warned him that he might not be able to breathe underwater. The fox suggested using his clever mind to trick the fisherman, but the fish warned him that the fisherman might come back with more nets. The animals sat in silence, trying to come up with a plan. Then, the wise old owl spoke up. He suggested that they all work together, each using their own unique talents to save the fish. The birds would fly up high and keep watch, warning the others if the fisherman returned. The squirrels would gather sticks and leaves to create a distraction. The wolf would use his strength to pull the net, while the rabbit would use his quickness to dodge any danger. And so, the animals put their plan into action. The birds circled high above, keeping watch, while the squirrels created a diversion by rustling the leaves. The wolf and the rabbit worked together to free the fish, each using their unique talents to get the job done. And finally, with a mighty tug from the wolf, the fish was free. The animals celebrated their victory, cheering and hugging each other. They had proven that by working together and communicating effectively, they could overcome any obstacle. And as they sat around the pond, watching the fish swim freely, they knew that they had formed a bond that would last a lifetime. From that day on, the animals continued to talk and share their stories, and their friendship grew stronger with each passing day. They realized that they were not so different after all, and that their unique qualities made them a powerful team. And as the sun set over the forest, the animals sat together, basking in the glow of their newfound bond. And so, the tale of the talking animals ends on a happy note. The animals had discovered the true power of communication and friendship, and had used it to overcome their struggles and create a better world for themselves and for those around them. May we all take inspiration from their story and remember the importance of working together and communicating effectively in our own lives. As the seasons changed and time passed, the animals continued to grow and learn from each other. They discovered new talents, shared new stories, and forged new bonds. And through it all, they never forgot the lesson they had learned on the day they had saved the fish, that by working together and communicating effectively, they could accomplish anything. One day, a new animal appeared in the forest. It was a small, scrappy-looking dog, with matted fur and a wagging tail. The animals were hesitant at first, unsure of how to react to this new creature. But as they watched him playfully chasing his tail and exploring the forest, they realized that he was just like them, curious, friendly, and eager to learn. The animals welcomed the dog into their group, and soon he became an integral part of their community. He would play with the squirrels, chase the birds, and howl at the moon with the wolves. And as he spent more time with the animals, he began to pick up on their habits and behaviors, learning how to communicate with them in his own way. But there was one animal in the group that the dog had trouble communicating with: the owl. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't seem to understand the owl's wise and cryptic words. He would tilt his head and bark in confusion, while the owl would simply blink his large, knowing eyes. The other animals noticed the dog's frustration, and they knew that they had to help him. They called a meeting in the clearing, and each animal took turns sharing their own unique way of communicating with the owl. The rabbit suggested using body language, the squirrel suggested using symbols, and the wolf suggested using metaphor. But it was the fox who had the most unique idea. He suggested that they all close their eyes and focus on their breath, imagining a golden light filling their bodies. Then, he suggested that they try to connect with the owl's spirit, using their intuition and empathy to understand his message. The animals agreed to try the fox's method, and they sat in silence, breathing deeply and imagining the golden light. And as they did, they began to feel a connection with the owl's spirit, understanding his message without any words at all. From that day on, the dog was able to communicate with the owl in his own way, using a combination of body language, symbols, metaphor, and intuition. And as the animals watched them converse, they realized that communication was not just about words, but about understanding and empathy. And so, the tale of the talking animals continued, as they learned new ways to communicate and connect with each other. They discovered that by embracing their differences and working together, they could create a harmonious world where all creatures could thrive. And as they sat together in the clearing, watching the stars twinkle overhead, they knew that they had found a true sense of community and belonging.